obviously, now we've gotten all four of our short treks. It's interesting that they're not called Star Trek Discovery short treks, but it's called Star Trek short treks.
Yes, I don't know why they wanted to do that. It is obviously set in the Discovery universe. They have the Discovery actors and characters, but they just wanted to, not use that name for some reason.
So let's go into it. Now we're going to go more in depth into Star Trek Discovery. First episode that was released, Runaway.
That one was okay. So it had Tilly. She was just more of a reactionary character in this one. The character they introduced that was running away from her home, she seemed like, a teenage girl runaway. The whole story was, it was interesting. It wasn't really my favorite, but it does have the Star Trek, the classic Star Trek elements. You have this girl who, and we find out through the episode that, why she wanted to leave her home, and we find out that she's this princess and had lost her family.
Yeah, it was, I don't even know what to make out of it. It's obviously leading up to something else, so we're being introduced to a new character, and since it's only a 15-minute episode, it wasn't a fully fleshed out story, but more of a teaser of what's to come in the series.
So we may see more of that new character later on. And so they made these short treks just to be teasers, to try to get the audience ready for the next season, and I understand CBS wanted to have something else to give audiences, but Netflix refused to buy these short treks, and so that's why you can only see them in the U.S.
So, was it an absolutely necessary thing to watch for those who don't have access to it? The answer is no, but it gives you a little bit of background of characters, and it also fleshes out some character personalities.
Well, isn't this the one where we saw Tilly's mother?
Exactly.
Of course, you don't even get to see her face. You only see the back of her, but Tilly is talking to her mother. And
so we know she has a close tie to her mom.
Yes.
Second short trek, Calypso.
Yes, and this one is my favorite out of the short treks. It takes place, what did they say, 10,000 years in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And the Discovery is still there, and it has this artificial intelligence that has evolved over time. And there is one human man who comes to that ship, and he had just gotten away from a war. And a human man develops this relationship with the computer artificial intelligence. And it becomes this great, almost love story, a friendship story. And the way the two people, we can call them people, the way they developed together, it was just a beautiful story to me.
I think this one was very sci-fi oriented. It felt more like general science fiction than Star Trek. There were some Star Trek elements to it, but being 10,000 years in the future, it's going to be curious how they develop this new character and how the timeline intersects.
And they might not really develop it anymore, considering it is that far in the future.
That's true. They might not.
But so this does explain, though, like so if Discovery is, has been lost for that amount of time, that explains why it hasn't been mentioned on TOS or TNG, any of the later treks, because it's a ship that disappeared, probably, and no one knows where it is in the time frame of the other Star Trek shows that we know. But I do think the relationship they had, that to me was very much Star Trek. It showed the humanity. I mean, the artificial intelligence, like Data, has this human side. It was lonely and was so happy to find the human, but also it was a benevolent entity and was okay with letting the human go and find his own people.
Yeah, true. Episode 3 of Short Treks, Brightest Star.
That was the one about Saru.
I love this one.
Yes, and you loved this one. I mean, it was good. And we got to learn more about the Kelpians.
Yeah, that's the species I'm particularly interested in because they don't really speak too much about it in Discovery. So I want to see the origins of Saru.
And we got to see his father and his sister. And then we find out how he got to how he got to Discovery. He had been like secretly communicating with them.
Fascinating that he had to break the rules because he was so curious. And it showed that if there's a drive to do more, you can't hold somebody back from wanting to learn more, wanting to explore. It's within some people to break away from the norm of their community.
It's reminiscent of the episode Pen Pals with Data,
Yes.
when he made contact with this little girl from another planet and basically broke the Prime Directive. I mean, she was from a planet that didn't know about any other life in space. And so in this episode of Short Treks, we have Saru, who nobody on his planet had ever left the planet and didn't know about Starfleet, and that's why Giorgio told him that he could never return to his home planet.
And I think I love the fact that it's going backwards. It was Lieutenant Giorgio,
Lieutenant,
correct?
yes.
Yes. So when it was a number of years previous to Discovery as we're currently watching it. But also it showed that they had to break the Prime Directive by taking him. It was...
Yeah, because they had already made contact with him, or he made contact with them, but either way, he was aware of them at this time, and so they must have trusted that he hadn't told anyone else, and yeah, it was interesting. So now we know that Saru is a man who can never return home, and we never knew that before on Discovery.
Yes. And also I got it was visually impressive to see his planet the way it looked. But it was also impressive how this is going to, like his viewpoint, previous in Discovery, we were understanding that his species was hunted. But when we get the impression now, what would you say? It's like an alien?
It's like they sacrifice themselves,
yes.
almost. It's almost like they willingly go.
Exactly. And they wanted to. It was considered a badge of honor to be taken. So how this information works with the information that Saru was explaining to his crewmates, I'm hoping we get more understanding about it in the future, either through the series or through the books.
Yes, I don't think that this episode really correlates with what had been established about the Kelpians, but maybe they'll explain it.
And because the comics and the books are being overseen by CBS, it's been stated that nothing is canon in the current Star Trek books and comics, but it's the closest thing to canon because they're working with a lot of them are the same writers or people who are involved communicating closely with the writing department. So who knows? Even if it's in another format, I'll take it. I love Saru.
And the last episode of Short Treks was The Escape Artist.
Wow, a lot of questions come up in this one when you really think about it and you think about the history of Harry Mudd.
It was a very entertaining episode, and Harry Mudd, as they've done him on Discovery, he is a good character. I mean, I liked him on the original series, and really this one on Discovery he's very different. I mean, he seems to be more intelligent and even more devious than he was on the original series.
But there are some, anytime there's a reference to TOS, I enjoy it. So we got to see one of the robotic Harry Mudds wearing the blue jacket with the epaulets that he wore in TOS.
Yes, that was a good nod to the original. And just the fact that he had the Android copies, which is from iMud, even though he never made a copy of himself in iMud. So that was a different take on it. And it was good. And it was a nice twist at the end. Oh, spoilers.
But it makes you think now which Mudds are the real Mudds.
Because even the Mudd that we thought was the real one at the end, maybe that wasn't even the real one. Maybe he would, on the original series, maybe that wasn't the original. Maybe that wasn't the real Harry Mudd.
But that's the sci-fi element that we loved about it. It forces you to think.
Yes, and all of his memories, were those real memories? I guess they could have been implanted memories it could have been experiences that all the different androids had instead of just the one that one particular android had. All the different times that he had connived his way out of other situations or into other situations.
It's true. So we enjoyed that episode. Both of us really liked that one. It was fun.
And what did you think about the Tellarite? The way he looked?
I couldn't even figure he was a Tellarite at the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't know until they said it. I mean, I just wouldn't have known.
So it was based more on the Enterprise era Tellarites.
I've
heard that being said. Don't view Discovery as a TOS prequel, but an Enterprise sequel, and you'll enjoy it more. And that's good advice.
It probably is closer to it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the Force be with you. Nanu Nanu.